Alright, so we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to allow everybody to introduce themselves that's on the panel right now. As you guys know, my name is Ilias, and I appreciate every single one of you guys for coming. You guys do not have to come here. It's a Friday night. You could be at home, you could be watching a movie, but you chose to be here. And I appreciate you guys because it's the first ever music tech mixer that we've done in New York. And I'm even honored to be with you guys up here to talk about the future of music and tech and AI. And we have a lot of great people in this room as well. So after this panel, make sure that you guys are also connecting with the people in this room because it could change your life, as cliche as that sounds. I'm gonna allow you guys to introduce yourselves now and then we'll get started.
Hi there. Hi, I'm Alisha Outridge. So I am the founder and chief technology and product officer of Byte and Chord. That actually just started in January. Previously, I've been in the music industry since Katy Perry kissed the girl. So don't look up the year, but AI is not new. I've been doing machine learning and AI development since way back there. From AOL to iHeartRadio to innovating iHeartRadio and building out personalized radio and case profiles and engines and recommenders to building my own startup and then being head of product at Facebook where I co-invented some patents that are the key patents that are, some of them are still active now, that built Instagram ads. So happy to be here and happy to talk more about music, tech, and AI.
Hi everyone, my name is Mascarenas. I'm the founder of Vocal AI, which is a deepfake detection company focused on audio. So can you determine whether audio samples are AI generated or not? I also co-founded the AI Furnace, which is like the largest AI community here in New York City. We started just 8 months ago. We've grown to over 12,000 members, and now we're across 4 different countries. So we're in New York, London, Boston, Paris, and Dubai. Thank you so much for coming, and really excited to also hear the insights from the other people.
This is a lot of one.
That's a lot. This is just a cool one. This is a cool one.
I'm Johannes. I think I've talked to most people in the crowd at this point. If I haven't, then after this, you'll probably hear from me, and we'll have a discussion at some point. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Tapt, and I've got a lot of experience working in data engineering and data science. I've helped scale a bunch of music startups before this, and now I'm working with Ilias to be able to make it possible for any performer to be able to have their own world tour. Thank you. You get the cool one too. Yeah.
Very loud. Hey everyone, I'm Josh. I've been building at the intersection of music and tech for the past 10 years now. Started my first company in college, built a music management and promotion business where I brought big A-list artists to college campuses. Did that, graduated, went and worked at Google for a little bit. Thought I was going to be fulfilled by that, realized it wasn't as fulfilling as I wanted it to be, so ended up joining a startup super early stage, went through a lot of rounds of venture funding, raised $30 million, scaled that company to over 100 employees, and then left a few months ago to start what I'm working on now, basically a data and marketing automation platform for the music industry.
Awesome. And so we have about 7 questions that we're going to have answered tonight, and then we're going to allow the audience to also ask 2 questions. So while you're listening, feel free to come up with something that you think would be good. And so we'll start with the first one. The first question I had for you guys was, how do you see AI tools enhancing or inhibiting creativity in music production and composition? And any of you can grab the mic if you want to answer.
So previously, up until about January, I was Chief Technology and Product Officer at TuneCore, which is the largest music distribution platform and the longest running since 2005. And we've seen a lot. We published some of our research that my team did at tunecore.com/AI about how artists are using AI to actually create and distribute and what they want to do. And the bottom line is that artists are innovators. They're forefront, they are forced to do everything when it comes to the music industry and not get paid for it. So they're using all the tools at their disposal, and they're using it mainly as a co-pilot to be able to think of new ideas and translate your thoughts and your vision into a song and into a track. And then even just AI mastering tools like Audius AI, as well as masterchannel.ai, and like several tools to be able to master and produce quality songs. So in the creation and distribution space, it's really opening up and enabling more artists to create better music. And then finally, also enabling them to be able to get real metadata so they can be found by algorithms. And enabling new markets, emerging markets like Vietnam and Asia, to be able to have access to DAWs, digital audio workstations, which are normally like hundreds of dollars, USD dollars, that they do not have in Vietnam and in the Philippines to make music. So it's really opening up music to be able to expand to a wider audience, so that Saint Levant, who's a Palestinian and LA-based artist that went viral recently, can make music in Middle Eastern and Arabic tones for people to enjoy.
If you guys don't want to add to that, we could go to the next question.
I, one, agree with everything, and two, the part that I really like is the artist metadata part, because as somebody who's really interested in data, I find that to be really cool. One of the problems that we have while working on Tapped is it's very hard to find data about the music industry in one specific spot, because everybody kind of gatekeeps it. Like historically, it's a little all over the place, and you have to really try to get it. Whereas in the tech community where I'm from, it's like everybody's just kind of giving it away. Google's got petabytes of data that they just have at their disposal.
Open source.
Exactly,
Yep.
it's open source.
Music biz is not open source.
So having AI be able to not only be able to collect and organize that data, but able to present it in a way which is really what we champion at TAP, be able to present it in a way that's simple and easy to understand when behind the scenes it's not.
Yeah, I could add to that as well. I think just kind of to your point, like being able to sector that data in an actual efficient way is something that the music industry hasn't seen ever. And I think we're kind of moving into a point where now we could finally be able to see that from some of the advancements in AI and ML, and actually like sector that data in a way where we're able to understand not only if a fan is streaming music, but is a fan buying tickets, is a fan buying merch, and get a full picture of who your fans are as an artist.
Well, I guess we know that AI can obviously help artists, and especially like some of the people in this room, right? Like AI maybe had helped you with your marketing campaign or create cover art. Now the question is how do you ensure that artists in general are not being exploited when there are these AI companies that are now being involved with the process of creativity? It's a hard question.
So I'm working on deepfake detection for audio, and we actually started with the hypothesis of wanting to help artists kind of reclaim their voice, and we believe that in the future royalties and attribution are going to be really big, and that legislation is just kind of catching up. So usually when technology innovation kind of comes out, the tech will come first, and then the regulation will kind of try to catch up. And so we're building out technology that can kind of take the first step of identifying what is AI or not, and then the second step is like, can you attribute it to someone's voice fingerprint. So once you identify like, oh, this is an AI song, is this AI Drake? You can kind of go ahead and do that. And so this kind of goes into like AI safety, AI ethical use of AI, but we think that typically this is we think that this is like part of the second wave of AI, which is like focus on like ethical distribution, compensating people for the work that they're doing, but I think it's a pretty new and emerging market.
Just to kind of like ask a question on that, when you say compensating the work that people are doing, are you talking about the actual artists or these companies that are sometimes, you know, for example, that Drake song went really viral that wasn't Drake? Like who do you think should be compensated, and like how do you actually kind of get to a place where not only you know where the song came from, but what was the intention behind that? Like should that actually be out there?
Yeah, I think this is to answer your question, it's a legal gray area right now, but we believe that compensating artists for their work is really, really important. And so Not only do I do stuff with deepfakes, but I also run this AI community, so I kind of see it across multiple vectors. So for example, using AI to design manga or something like that. And so we believe that like artists whose work is going into these models should be compensated for their work. But we think that in this new world, like new agreements are gonna have to be created and new business models, because there could be instances where a fan will create some sort of work that uses someone's voice, and there could be a shared royalty agreement that is created. But this is like all very new and emerging, and it's kind of like tied up in the courts right now. So I'm very interested to see how it kind of like plays out in the market. But I believe that attribution is like important, because a lot of people's work is kind of just getting stolen right now.
And on the music business side, because unfortunately I've been on the dark side as well as the light side in both music and tech, and like she's absolutely right, where like the tech industry, and like you mentioned as well, is moving forward and is really open and sharing information. The music biz is not. Like they are scared. There's a lot of Luddites in the music business because they don't code. They don't understand that stuff. Like you just take their work. And the sad part is, in all of the back rooms essentially where these conversations are happening, people just kind of want to make money. And they're like, oh, artist, give me your catalog and I can train this model and then you'll be able to do cool stuff. And it's going to be Spotify again, where you used to sell a CD for like $19.99 and now you can get 1 million views and get like $10. Online, like that does not add up. What did we get out of that? So the music business is rightly like scared of that. That said, I don't know if many people know this, but Reg A approval recently was given to a second company called Jukebox, jkbx.com, and Songvest is another company. Both of those are based in the US. So Jukebox and Songvest are two companies that are out there expanding the business models in the music industry so that we can enable artists to make money on more than just royalty shares of a percentage of a track playing on these digital platforms. So Reg A enables us to essentially have a Wall Street for music, and that means that the whole artist, so when they're touring, when they're producing art, just existing, they can get investment the same way any private company can. So the business models are expanding, but tech is going to move faster, and music and tech really need to work together on that.
I think this is actually a perfect leeway to what you guys are building. You were slightly mentioning how Spotify and all these DSPs are not properly paying out these artists. I think you could tell everybody in the room what you guys are working on and how you guys are combating that.
I'm gonna get in trouble.
We're not going to go against the industry here. But yeah, we're essentially building a way for artists to actually understand who their fans are. So I think it's not really about like the fact that DSPs maybe aren't paying out as much as artists would like in terms of actual streams on music and those sort of things. I think the thing to understand is that artists are making, and there's a lot of artists in this room, but artists are making 80% plus of their revenue from touring, which was really just selling tickets and selling merch. So how do you actually understand your fans in a holistic way? Are they listening to your music? Are they watching your videos? Are they doing kind of these high intent things? And then can you actually market to them in an effective way? Not in a way that says, hey, I'm dropping a new merch line for my tour, go buy it, but you bought merch to my you bought merch when I dropped it last, or you bought tickets to my last show, like I know you're gonna buy tickets again. So yeah, I think it's just about building ways for artists to effectively market to their fans and like actually get fans to pay for what they want to pay for, so they can, so everyone wins.
That's exactly what we need.
You guys also brushed up upon regulation. What kind of regulation do you think will be needed in AI? Angela, you can take that.
Yeah, I think, honestly, I don't think there's going to be one solution for everything. So people are trying a lot of different things. One thing is regulation, like can you force people to do things that way? Other people are trying things like watermarks. Like, can you watermark something so that you can identify something a certain way? I think that there's actually going to be a whole host of solutions. So one solution we've kind of like seen in the market is that people are using AI to like monitor the web for like deepfakes and stuff like that. So I think some sort of monitoring tool is going to exist, regulation is going to exist, watermarking. Not one thing is going to solve everything. It's actually going to be a whole new suite of tools that are going to be needed there. And so that's what we're focused on, is like, we don't think that there's like one silver bullet that's going to fix everything. Because even if you watermark something, it's actually, technically it's really easy to remove the watermark. I don't know if you want to mention.
Well, I was going to say, even with one of the big things that, like, when I was in the blockchain community, like one of the big things they were trying to solve is like how to use NFTs to watermark music. But what you learn really quickly is it doesn't matter how good the tech is, the weakest link is always the human link. There's always going to be somebody that fucks up. Like at the end of the day, somebody's going to mess up. So you can have the best tech in the world, that blockchain is cryptographically secure, you can have watermarks that are impossible to break, but like at the end of the day, it's a human issue. And so the legislation just really needs to kick up.
Yeah, I was gonna say that there's actually certain nations, because me and my team are located across 3 different countries. So one co-founder is in London, the other is in the EU. I actually think that the EU is leading the regulation around like a lot of the stuff around data privacy and ownership and stuff like that. And so I actually think the US kind of follows that kind of market, but I think regulation is needed 100%. Like, what's the incentive for someone to like create something if it's just gonna get ripped off? But again, tech I think leads it, and then legislation kind of follows. So it's important for musicians and guilds and artists to like have their voice heard and be at the table when these conversations are being done.
What? To play devil's advocate for a second, a lot of the worst legislation in the music industry is stuff because the legislators rushed to get something out the door. And there's a lot of weird rules, especially when it comes to like licensing and recorded licensing and sync licensing, that were made in the 1800s because somebody made a self-playing piano. And like it spooked everybody, and they were like, okay, we gotta rush legislation out really quickly. And that's, a lot of the pain points come from that kind of rushed like policy creation. So at the same time, it also comes down to like a lot of the people still making laws are very old and don't know what AI is. And even people in the music industry who are the ones advising them are also like generally like pretty old. And when I was at IMS in April, and all the people who were like the seniors there were discussing blockchain, like how blockchain is going to get used in the music industry. I was like, you guys are 2 years behind. Where are you guys at? There was no discussion on AI. I think, well, no, Grimes came there, and that was when she was hot. But she was like the thing in AI at the moment, but she was the only one talking about it. Everybody else was stuck on blockchain, and I was like, y'all are a little behind, you know?
Well, I think you guys are also jaded because you guys are so involved in the tech world, right? A lot of the people in here that are performers or artists, their only understanding of AI is like ChatGPT. But you guys can name like 50 different platforms. Before, like I remember last year you were telling me about what Audius was working on, right?
Yeah.
At buildspace. And like now it's getting really popular to talk about how like you could replicate somebody's voice, but you knew about it so early. And I feel like what would be really valuable for the people in here is like, if you guys know of any programs that people can use aside from ChatGPT, and you're an artist and you want to have like a leg up, what would you recommend that they could use? Try not to plug in your own company. You can talk about something else.
Yo, if they're looking for
I would like to talk about that. Most of you guys use it, or you guys know about Pinpoint. Look, before the event ends, you guys are going to be able to know about everything that they're working on, but I want you guys to have an opportunity to know about maybe something outside of this room. Do you guys have anything in mind? What'd you say?
I can share when he's finished. Oh.
So there's 2 companies that I worked with in the music business side of things. So the music business is like actively detecting, and we'll sort of have an organic, not organic type of approach to music when it comes to AI. Like that's what they're doing. Like it's already there. It's been in the process for the last 2 years. You're going to be in a grocery store of all these Spotify and like music stores. You're going to see organic and not organic, human and AI. That is what the labeling is going to be. And like, but TuneCore actually worked with Grime to handle like we spoke to her and said, look, I know you want to split royalty shares, but you can't just say it on Twitter. You have to actually talk to the rest of the business and make that happen. It's not like an IOU type of thing. So we actually partnered with her to have those conversations. And some of the companies that we leverage that I'll point out to answer that question on like helping you with AI is AIorNot.com, which does image and audio, where you can sort of upload your track. You can essentially put your YouTube link or your track and then put another link or another file and be able to go, okay, did this use my data or not? So that's AIorNot.com. And then another company is IRCAM, which is IRCAM, amplify.com. So IRCAM, They're called IRCAM, and they're based, actually, sorry, I think it's .fr. They're based in Europe, and a lot of the companies, as Angela said, that are really working on this, that are kind of these audio engineers and sound labs and privacy, are based in Europe, because Europe really is leading this sort of like own your own stuff, and like the US is kind of like, everybody owns you. So yeah, like IRCAM and AIorNot are really great companies, and IRCAM has a lot of products to be able to help you with your metadata, help you find your copyright detection issues, be able to detect if you're accidentally doing a cover so you don't get dropped off the internet and have your video pulled, which happens all the time for musicians.
I can add one more.
Splice is doing a lot of cool stuff on the production side. I don't know. I'm sure a lot of you guys already know about them, but yeah, it'd be good to check out.
I think BandLab at the same time is doing a lot of really cool AI stuff. They were at.
They're awesome.
It was funny you mentioned the TuneCore with TuneCore working with Grimes, because Andrea was at IMS and there was a whole thing of like them. Like I think a lot of that stuff was like when how they got connected with Dava. Yeah, Ibiza. Okay, yeah.
I want to add one more too. My co-founder from TCC, Phil, also talks about ad creative AI all the time. So basically, if you're looking for like design work, or let's say you need to create like a brand kit, I would highly recommend that you check them out as well. We're not involved with them, but they're definitely a good resource.
Yeah, so mine's just BandLab. I think they're cool. I like the app.
Amazing.
I don't make music, and I download the app because I think it's cool. I play around with it.
Okay, so then I guess what we're going to be doing as well, after we wrap that up, we're going to be letting you guys ask some questions. So does anybody want to raise their hand and ask a quick question for these four lovely people? Don't be shy. Sure.
Let's see if we can bring this around. You got it. Oh, ask the question.
Oh, I gotta walk up here. Cool. Amazing panel so far. So I was curious, like, it's so hard to get signal in this space because there's so many people following all the hype right now. Like, what is a contrarian opinion anyone on the panel has specifically to AI? Unique perspective that you guys see, like, into the future, maybe a couple, 6 months, a year, like something contrarian you guys have to say.
You mean like anti-AI?
No, I mean, it could be like, I don't know, like a lot of people are talking about agents this year or small language models, or like what do you guys specifically see, maybe a unique perspective you have on where AI is going?
The chatbot.
This year.
No, I'm gonna think of a better answer. I had an answer that was gonna be quick. Go ahead. No, you go ahead. I need to think of a better answer. I think, I don't know how contrarian this is, but I think a lot of people, like, just how, after the NFT craze, anything that didn't have any sustenance went away, so most of blockchain went away. The same thing's gonna happen with AI. Like if you make any AI chatbot that isn't novel somehow, and you don't have engineers that actually know what they're doing, then you're not gonna survive. There's going to be it's like the little wildfires that prevent much bigger ones. Like something's gonna go and it's gonna get rid of all the small fish, and only the people that have actual substance are going to be there. But it's hard to predict because with a market like this, it's hard to predict beyond 6 months. Like literally anything could happen.
Alright, what's up guys? This is Ilias, and today's video is sponsored by Tapped AI. Just have a little bit of a break where we're going to be going over an app that can help you create a world tour through your iPhone. There's already thousands of users on the app that are using this and getting booked and getting paid to do shows, apply to perform, and also find the right type of venues that they can get booked at. And so for example, you go on the app, you have a search bar where you're able to look through a bunch of different opportunities and apply, and then look at a bunch of different venues and performers. And then on top of that, you're also able to use the mass outreach button where you're able to find the right venues for your specific sound. You find the city, you type in the city. Let's say for example, we do Washington, DC. And once we do Washington, DC, let's say these are all my genres as a performer. And these are the types of genres that I'm looking for the venues. And let's say my capacity is 1,000. And now in less than 20 seconds, I identified 35 venues in that area. And all the contact info is for free as well. And I could look at reviews and booking history. And then I click confirm and I write a message right here. And once I write that message, the AI will go ahead and make it more clean for me. And it'll send this information right here where it shows your follower count on all your socials. It looks at your booking history, the places you performed at before, your genres, and why you would be a good fit to perform there. And in less than 10 seconds after I write all that, it contacts all those venues and I'm able to establish a line of communication with them and then be able to get paid and get booked for shows. You can download it now on Tapped AI on the App Store. Make sure to check it out. Back to the interview. Anybody else have another question? We won't make you come up. I'll just ask for you. You want to come up? Yes. All right, sure. Let's do it. We get a keep that way around.
Hey, I'll just grab this. You take that one.
So first off, thank you for coming here and talking. And I kept hearing you talking about how the EU is leading the regulation.
Answer your question. Perfect. I think we have one more question before we end, and then we're going to do demos.
I'll be very short. Okay. So I'll state my question, I'll state some words around the question, and then I'll ask my question again. So my ultimate question is around just like, in a room full of artists, and seeing in a world where like generative AI, especially generative audio is like really coming into fruition right now, where does value ultimately accumulate, right? If you're an everyday artist right now, attempting to like, get started, how do you live in a world where, you might have the very same thing that happened to a lot of artists in the image space happen to you right now? So just to reference, a couple of years ago, right, it was completely remote, the idea that you can go from text and controllably generate an image that might align with the style and various attributes of an artist, right? But I can go in now and say like, give me Salvador Dali's impression of X, and I would get that, and I can do that for artists that are even modern. In the very same way, then you had tools, for instance, like Stable Diffusion come out, and Stable Diffusion would be able to democratize access to this, but the flip side of that is like, anyone can now go and replicate the work of artists, and there's some IP applications of that, right? And you have lawsuits like Getty Images versus Stability up here, and so on and so forth. In the very same way, the modern set of companies going in and training like text-to-audio models, controllable text-to-audio models, they're doing the very same things as the text-to-image model, where training on large internet collected web scrapes of audio data, scraping all of Spotify, being able to controllably generate Spotify, taking arbitrary Spotify artists out there and saying like, I'll be able to pick a random artist in Brooklyn and be like, give me music in this person's style, but the ownership belongs to the company that generates that music. So like, in the world where this will exist, because it will, because we saw it happen in the image world, where will value accumulate in 10 years? Will it be for live performances? Where will that be? That's my ultimate question.
It exists now. I mean, all that stuff happened 10 years ago. All these models were trained on everything that you put online. So it exists now. There's no value accumulation until the business models change and scale. Like, to be able to do that. There's not enough computational processing available to track the attribution of every single thought. Believe it or not, AI is a child. It looks at all this stuff, it listens to it, and then whatever it listened to or looked at and saw at some point, it never stops. You can't track that attribution forever. But you can know, and it's expensive. And no one's gonna build that. And we don't even know how to build it. We'd have to ask AI to build it for us.
Can I actually respond to that?
Yeah. Go for it.
So my response is like, the question specifically are like, how do individual artists think of themselves in the world in 10 years when anything they produce right now can be replicated without their ability to have control over top of that? Not more so like AI will go in and, do things.
Yeah, I can chime in on that. I think, and I'd love to hear like from you guys and the rest of the room if you disagree, but I think like kind of counter to your point, people care about who they're listening to. They don't want to listen to a song that sounds like Drake, they want to listen to Drake. So my kind of advice to the artists that I chat with on a daily basis is like, focus on creating, continue to focus on creating, and then kind of build a business around that. And in terms of like people ripping off your music and taking different business models and all of those things, I think it's kind of an afterthought, and I think it's something that's obviously happening and it's gonna be around you as an artist, but it's not a matter of like how you think about, oh, how am I gonna, you know, stop myself from getting ripped off. It's more about just keep creating great music, keep building that relationship with your fan base, because at the end of the day, like fans feel a connection to their favorite artists, and they don't feel a connection to an AI platform that generates music like their favorite artists.
Unfortunately, we are on a time crunch, so we do gotta get started on the demos. For everybody who's here right now, when we do the next one next month, all you guys' tickets are paid for. So record this now or use it against me, we have it on camera. If you come next month and you have to pay, you come to tell whoever needs to talk to me or him or whoever else is here. You guys are all gonna be at the next event for free, because this is our first one. We appreciate you guys for coming out. But let's go ahead and get started on the demos. I appreciate you guys again. If you guys have any questions for them, feel free to reach out to them afterwards. Actually, one last question. A lot of people have been asking me this. Are you guys hiring? I know we're not hiring, but are you three hiring? No? Yes?
Yes, and you can also hire me to advise your companies.
Okay, so you guys can find her afterwards. Are you hiring, Angela?
Yes, but just for our community.
Okay, and are you hiring?
We're always looking for great engineers, and any artists, feel free to reach out. I'm Josh at getpinpoint.io.
Awesome.
Just so you guys know, y'all didn't introduce yourselves earlier.
We did at the beginning.
Yeah, y'all did.
We have it on camera.
Oh, I wasn't paying. It's okay, you can watch it at home.
We're hiring if you're good enough at programming.
Yeah. Watch out.
Programming what?
Programming.
Python, Rust?
If you know one, then you know. If you know Rust, then you definitely know.